Well, good morning, and thank you for taking the time to join our presentation today. I'm Jim Guinan, Annuity Sales Manager here with Financial Brokerage in Omaha, and today we're joined by Craig Geiger with Lincoln Financial, and Craig's going to talk to us about a number of things this morning, one of which is an income solution without an income rider. So we'll be hearing from Craig in just a moment. I do want to mention to you that our presentation is recorded this morning, and so it will be available for later viewing. So before we get to Craig and his presentation topic this morning, I want to talk to you about a few things here that are going on at Financial Brokerage. So first of all, just want to talk about some of our incentive trips that are coming. And we do have two excellent trips this year as part of our Shared Success program. As you can see, the first one is Sandals, Emerald Bay in the Bahamas, and that would be a combination of 45,000 success shares. Again, all the business that you place through us has a share value, and so Sandals is a 45,000 level success share. And our other trip will be to Oak Lake Lodge, which is in northern Ontario, and that is a combination of 35,000 success shares. So again, those will be in 2022. I don't have the exact dates for those yet, but again, those are certainly something to work for. So your business with us is certainly appreciated, and those are some opportunities for you as a producer. Again, as part of the Shared Success program too, is if the dates for some reason don't work for you, or they're not your cup of tea, certainly there's a conversion of those shares also. So not wasted. Your business will also earn you cash, and those conversions are available on our website. I won't go into great detail here. Okay, also want to talk to you about our agent referral program. And as you know, as a producer, you know how important referrals are for you. They're certainly important for us too. And here at Financial Brokerage, all business that you write not only can help you with shared success, but if you're referring producers to us, you can earn an override and in essence build an agency that way. So you can see on the screen what those overrides would be and on an ongoing basis. So again, it's our way of saying thank you for putting us into touch with annuity writers, life writers, med sup individuals. So again, let the referrals come. We certainly appreciate you, and we want to continue to develop that relationship. And so we do appreciate people that you know that are working in the business that you write also. So again, thanks for your past referrals, and if you have any, please let our team know here at Financial Brokerage. So with that, I want to pass the presentation over to Craig now. He has a topic he'll have for you, and so with that, I'll let you talk with Craig or listen to Craig now from here.
All right, thanks, Jim, and thanks everyone for attending this morning. We really do appreciate it. Let me just bring up my screen real quick. I want to make sure everybody can see it. Hey, Jim, everyone, can you see our agenda slide?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
yep.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure before I kick things off. You never know with technology. So real quickly, again, I want to thank everyone for their time this morning. We really do appreciate it. Really, what I wanted to go through is just a couple different topics, if you will, before we actually get into that income solution idea. And so when we think about that, it's all around a couple different things. One is really going to be that power of diversification and why that's so important to clients. So really at Lincoln, we're very much committed to having an income or a diversified portfolio that gives you a lot of different index strategies, that give you a lot of different choices, and really puts the client in a great position to grow that money over the long term. We're also going to be talking about a true bond fund alternative strategy. That's definitely something we're seeing more and more advisors looking at if they are looking to a place to kind of reshuffle the deck when it comes to their fixed income of their portfolio, meaning the bonds. And then we'll kind of talk about that grow and spend idea, that idea where we can really promote and drive income for clients without using an income rider. So when we think about your choice and around that diversification, this call could not come at a better time, because when we think about it, it's all about having a ton of flexibility and choices along the way. In our OptiChoice OptiBlend Index Annuity Series here at Lincoln is our #1 product series. It comes in a 5, a 7, and a 10-year chassis. And really, when you think about it, it offers a couple different things. It offers a fixed account, and of course, it offers a lot of different index strategies. But the thing I'm really excited about today, though, is the new BlackRock Dynamic Allocation Index that we launched last Monday. So this just came out in the marketplace. Really, in a marketplace right now where there's not a ton of new index options out there available. There's a lot of stuff that's been around for a while, but there really hasn't been anything new and fresh in a while. So the BlackRock Index is kind of a new introduction, if you will, to the Lincoln portfolio. And where it's really going to be a differentiator for us with you guys is really going to be more of an index that's going to have a kind of a global approach index with inflation hedging strategies built inside of it. Because when you think about what a lot of people are talking about right now, people are talking about taxes, but they're talking about inflation too. And we know inflation could be a potential real big issue going forward over the next couple of years. And we know that inflation hedging strategies are going to be very vital to that. And when you think about the BlackRock Dynamic Allocation Index, it comes really in two flavors. It comes in a 1-year par and a 2-year par. And we'll talk more about that index in a second. We also have what's called our 1-year Fidelity AIM Dividend Participation Index. This is also another proprietary index that we have here at Lincoln with Fidelity. That's a 1-year par index that encompasses 125 blue chip dividend paying stocks. And it's a 1-year par. So it's a percentage of whatever that index does for the year, and it goes year to year. We also have a strategy that's very, very unique to Lincoln at the same time, which is our 1-year S&P 500 daily risk control spread. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but really what that is it's a 1-year strategy on the S&P that's uncapped with a spread. And where there's a huge differentiator in this is that it's uncapped on the S&P. It has the S&P 500 and it has cash. And you pay a small spread and the client nets the difference. So, but dividends are included in the calculation, which is great. And there are no bonds. So when you are looking for that bond fund alternative strategy utilizing an index annuity, that strategy can be a great index to go with, because again, you're getting the dividends, which is great because you're getting more of that performance, but you're also not encompassing any bonds into the mix, which is the one thing you're trying to get away from if we're doing a bond fund alternative strategy. And of course, we also have the 1-year cap and the 1-year par on the S&P 500. So just kind of want to give you a snapshot on the current rates here at Lincoln. Like I said, our OptiBlend is our go-to flagship series across the board. Like I said, you got a 5-year contract, you have a 7-year product, and you have a 10-year product. And really what I want to point out here is when you think about this, you can see we have a ton of different index options across the board for you to choose from. And we're very, very competitive across the board for your accumulation business. And when I talk about that BlackRock Index, why I think it's going to have a really big thing to talk about right now in the marketplace is if you look at all the leading asset managers of BlackRock, State Street, JP Morgan, a lot of them are saying equity return forecast. They say that international equity can potentially have more growth potential than the U.S. equity side of it. And when you think about having more global exposure and having the ability to have a dynamic index that really encompasses a lot of different things, and that's exactly what the BlackRock Index does. It actually encompasses these 12 iShare ETFs. So you have an S&P 500 ETF But more importantly, you have an EFA ETF, which will give you some international exposure, as well as an ETF with emerging markets. And when you think about why emerging markets are so important, is 60% of the global population is in emerging markets. So when you think about growth for the long term, that could be a great index or a market to be in. And at the same time, we talked about before about the inflation issues we might see in the future. These also have two alternative investment asset classes in this index, with gold and real estate, which is very new. And when you think about that as an inflation hedge, those are great things to have inside an index that can help fight against inflation. And this, of course, also has fixed income in it with corporate bonds, not just treasuries, but corporate bonds, as well as treasuries, and a chip bond as well to kind of round things off as a risk-free asset as part of the index holding. And then just kind of give you a snapshot of, kind of what a quote looks like at Lincoln, based on current rates as of today, the 31st of August. Really what I did here, guys, is I put $100,000 into OptiBlend 10. And what I did is I put 60% of it in the one-year BlackRock Index, which currently is 100% par. I put the 40% being the remainder in that one-year S&P 500 Daily Risk Control Index that only has a 70 basis point spread. The client gets everything above that number. So what I want to show you, though, to kind of put this into context, if we look at this and kind of do a 30-year look back, that 60-40 would have averaged around 6% return. Now, if I go back and I kind of look at a more recent time where the market was down, I think of the lost decade, 2000 to 2010. And that's at the bottom of this slide. You can see this thing averaged over a 5% return during the lost decade, when really the equity markets were still negative at that point. Now, in a growth market, this index strategy together as a 60-40 split averaged a little over 7.4% return as well. So definitely something to note if you are looking for kind of where Lincoln fits and kind of where a good mix allocation can be. And like I said before, when you think about that one-year S&P 500 daily risk control, another thing to take into consideration, this gives you your domestic exposure while getting dividends included in the calculation with no bonds. So definitely something to consider there as well. And then, obviously when we talk about an income solution without an income rider, this is kind of where this idea really comes together, because it's not just about the income, it's about the index strategies that are inside the product, how competitive they are, and with a care that has good renewal rate integrity. And when you think about that, what I did here is I ran $100,000 in the OptiBlend 10 contract. And instead of utilizing an income rider, I'm utilizing a spend down strategy, kind of going back to basics. Because the one thing we've definitely seen with income riders is the payoff factors have gone down, the costs have gone up, and typically you're getting a less competitive index product to get that income rider, right? So what I did here is I put $100,000 in, and I took a 5% withdrawal or a 5% spend down strategy right out of the gate. And as you can see here, that is creating consistent income for that client throughout. And more importantly, at the end of 30 years, that client's taken $198,000 in withdrawals, but they still got $117,000 of account value left over at the end. So money for the beneficiaries. And the reason we can be in this position is, one, we're getting a product that actually has competitive index strategy with a competitive cap, competitive pars, a low spreads. So the client's in a position to grow that contract with more competitive index strategies. They're saving themselves the 1% rider fee, and they're leaving more money for the beneficiaries at the end. So this is just one example if I'm doing an income now solution. Now, if I'm looking to do an income later solution, because not every client is going to need income right away, I did exactly the same scenario. I just put $100,000 into the OptiBlend 10 contract, and I waited 5 years before I started taking a 5% spend down. And as you can see here, that has also created consistent income for that client. But more importantly, when I get to the end of 30 years at age 95, that client's taken over $215,000 in withdrawals, and he's still got over almost $144,000 of account value or a death benefit left over at the end. So definitely something to consider, for clients that maybe you don't think an income rider is a good fit, or maybe for clients that may be a little bit older and they're looking for a way to provide income, without utilizing an income rider that potentially, again, will give them less competitive caps and spreads and pars on their product, as well as encompassing a 1% rider fee throughout and really eroding that account value at the end. So definitely something to consider there. And then at the end of the day, it's not just about the diversification and the choices that you have in the contract and the income that it provides, but it's really the backbone of the contract. And that's really where Lincoln is a huge differentiator in the marketplace. We have really are committed to renewal rate integrity at Lincoln. That's a big part of our story. And as you can see here, that we really are consistent with our renewal rates. And more importantly, we recently came out with a new piece like this that actually encompasses an OptiBlend 7 live contract today that's currently in force, and showing you what the caps and spreads and pars were in 2019, as you can see here. But more importantly, what it renewed at during COVID. And if you look here in the back, you can see here that there's a lot of consistency throughout, based on the various index strategies that this client chose, having that consistency. So it's not just about having one competitive first-year rates. It's just as important, of course, to have options and different choices on the indexes, but the renewal rate part of it is just as important, if not more important, as part of the total package for that index annuity when it comes to Lincoln. So definitely something to consider there. And again, when you're talking about choice, it all comes back to this: having the client giving the client the opportunity to have multiple index options to choose from. At Lincoln, we do have 2 proprietary indexes, one with BlackRock, one with Fidelity. And again, when you're talking about that true bond fund alternative strategy, we're looking to reposition maybe some of that fixed income money or bonds. Don't forget about that daily risk control spread as that true bond fund alternative, giving that client the ability of uncapped strategy on the S&P. Again, get the dividends included in the calculation, have no bonds, and have the ability to go year to year. And then, of course, that grow and spend strategy, kind of going back to that, because again, when we look at income riders and we look at the fact that the payoff factors have gone down, the costs have gone up, and typically the index strategies the client tends to get are less competitive than they would be on a pure accumulation product, that grow and spend idea can really, again, be a great place to be, is because when you think about it, again, going back here, 100 grand into the contract, taking a 5% spend down, and again, over a 30-year period of time, clients taking tons of withdrawals, over 198,000 in this example, with still $117,000 of account value left over. And the same thing over here with a client waiting 5 years and then taking a 5% spend down. And again, the same scenario, the client's obviously able to provide a lot of income for that client, $215,000 and some change here, with again, almost $144,000 of account value left over as a death benefit for the beneficiaries. And again, like I talked about, it's also about having that renewal rate integrity in the back end to know the product is in a position to stay competitive. So with that, I'm going to throw things back to Jim and see if there's any questions.
Well, thanks, Craig. I have a question for you, actually, to start with. On your illustration that you're showing for the OptiBlend 10, so is that software, is that something agent has to be contracted in order to run those? So if they were wanting to run something and play around with, the allocations and then the withdrawals, do they have to be contracted in order to run that?
They do not. In fact, we have a microsite that I'll make sure, Jim, I send this to you if you want to send it out to the group, that actually will take you to our Lincoln microsite, and it actually has illustration software on there. So if you wanted to play around with the different indexes and the different percentages and stuff like that to kind of see how the product would perform and putting the different withdrawal factors in there, you have access to that as well as obviously they can call you or they can utilize the website and be able to run those quotes to kind of run things and kind of see how they come together.
Okay, very good, because I help agents with illustrations a lot, and it's nice to be able to go in and I know you're using, I forget the blend on that. Was that the 60-40 on that income?
Correct.
Okay, so if let's say they may want to look at 50/50 or all BlackRock, things like that, and then change the income option. So certainly that helps, because we do get that. We do get that a lot now from other carriers and producers wanting to show income without paying for an income rider. And they'll ask us to run different scenarios of income needs. And so that's very helpful. I don't have any questions from anyone here yet. So I will say that if you are interested in getting more information about the OptiBlend series, because there's more than one, there's a 5, 7, and 10 year, and any information that you'd like, we'd certainly be glad to get that out for you after the webinar is over. So today, tomorrow, what have you. And if you are interested in getting appointed with Lincoln, the contract that we have here at Financial Brokerage is for both life and annuity. So we welcome you to consider Lincoln for your indexed accumulation needs, and of course income too. So if you need to get appointed, you can certainly reach out to me. I'm in the annuity department, or Shelley Whitaker is our contracting specialist here at Financial Brokerage. So she'd be glad to help you along that process of getting appointed with Lincoln, so you can write this product going down the road. So I want to thank you for all attending today. Thanks, Craig. If there are any questions that come up after the presentation, please let me know, and I will get back to you right away. But again, thanks for your time today, and thank you, Craig, for taking the time to talk to us about this product and the new index strategy. And everyone have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.